Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Baikin.
And I'm Dennis Mash.
We are creators of Pro Robots YouTube channel. We are glad to announce we are starting live streams from now. We really hope you will like them. Our first guest is Vitaly Bulatov. Hello, Vitaly.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, thank you for inviting. It's a pleasure to be on your channel.
Great. Vitaly Bulatov, CEO of MerkleBot. The company MerkleBot provides smart leasing service for robots, develop IoT for robotic solution, and train people how to work with a spot robot from Boston Dynamics. We will ask Vitaly about what his company does and what's behind the services they provide. Please like this video and write live question we can ask our guest. Let's start, guys. Vitaly, we met several months ago and you introduced a project called Robonomics. It seemed very interesting for us. What is the project about? How does MerkleBot use Robonomics?
Let me explain. Robonomics is an open source IoT platform. And what it means is that you can connect and manage your devices and data using Robonomics. The unique focus of Robonomics is on economic relations between humans and robots, and between robots themselves even, autonomous supply chains. It is being developed for about 6 years already, and I joined early on because I was always excited about automations projects. And I also got my degree in economics, so economic side of things was really interesting to me. So when I met Sergey Lonshakov, who is the chief architect of Robonomics, and he told me about the key concepts behind it, I was really excited. And I started thinking of how this could be applied in different areas. And we started working on research and development projects that could leverage the technologies that were developed under on this open source project. We worked with many different types of robots, from drones, boats, mobile robots, and industrial robots. And eventually we figured that there is a need on the market for financing robotics. And financing is very, very rigid, old school niche. And robotics has evolved a lot. The technology has advanced, but financing behind it didn't, so not so much. So we started a company called MerkleBot in the United States with the goal of making access to robotics and to robotic equipment easier for companies and even individuals. And we focus on robot as a service business model. The product that we called Smart Lease. Essentially, it provides a robot that gets the salary for every month that is working based on the number of, based on the work that that robot has done. And we, in MerkleBot, we obviously heavily use Robonomics to power all the products that we're developing.
Vitaly, what stands the name MerkleBot of your company? What this name stands for?
Thank you for asking. So Merkle trees is the technology behind our name, and they're also called hash trees. And essentially what it is, it's a data structure that is a key component behind blockchain, decentralized blockchains, and Bitcoin and Ethereum, and many other peer-to-peer networks. And what it does, the utility behind it, is that it allows to validate the data that is contained in different blocks of the blockchain, and also do it in a efficient way from resources point of view, of a computing resources point of view, and also very securely. So we were inspired by this data structure and technology, and we thought that since we're using it for organizing the exchange of data between robots, that's kind of how we came up with the name.
Great. And when and how have you started? And tell us more about your team.
Yeah, so I started working on the concepts behind MerkleBot in 2016 when I met, as I said, Sergey Lonshakov in a blockchain conference in San Francisco. And back then, not that many, because Ethereum just started. And here is this really smart developer who came to the conference talking about how robots could create contracts with people to deliver services. And that was just mind-blowing at that time. And I thought that's really cool, and I want to help. So I started working on building projects based on those technologies and bring them to the market. As we continue to build other use cases, we polished the concept of robot as a service as an idea, and more teams in Pittsburgh. And he's a mastermind behind the technology, and he's our CTO. He's amazing. And we also have a team of developers working with us that we're really honored to have. I think that's it's critically important for such a tech-heavy and tech-focused company to have a strong developers team and developers community, and we are honored to have that.
Nice. And all members of your team, are all of you guys somehow interlinked to the robonomics topic and to the robonomics services? Are you all of you are coming from the robonomics topic?
Yeah, so all of us are really excited about the project, and we are very interlinked. So Robonomics is an open source project, an open source IoT platform that allows building applications on top of it. So think of Robonomics as Amazon Web Services. It gives you tools to build applications. It does that in a decentralized fashion with specific, unique values that are very needed for financing and for economic interaction in general. And MerkleBot is a commercial company that uses the tools that are built within Robonomics, and it's a much smaller team with a much more specific focus on financing. But yes, we're working together. We're happy to support Robonomics open source development as well. And we're using the tools that Robonomics is building at MerkleBot. And we have a very close relationship.
Great. I know we want to talk more about MerkleBot, but just to come back for a second and talk a little bit more about Robonomics. Do you think Robonomics is the next level of Internet of Things, or how do you rate this topic?
So Robonomics is essentially building Web 3.0 tools for robotics. And what it means is that it's an umbrella term for a lot of different technologies like blockchain and peering networks and smart contracts. And the difference between the Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 is that in Web 2.0, we figured out value and how to transfer value. Unique value generated by robots. So I would think that Robonomics is definitely bringing the next iteration and of tools that are needed to, in a broader term, to shift us towards a new industrial revolution, I would say, because right now robots in the factories, for example, are very closed. So it's working in a cell, even literally, and it's like in a prison. Robots are in a prison, and they are not. Oftentimes, they're not even connected to the internet, and they cannot order parts, for example, when they need something to work with. So with the tools that Robonomics builds, robots would be able to order maintenance from people or other robots, order necessary parts for building things that they need, and possibly even order services later down the supply chain. For example, if the industrial robot built the product, it can then transfer it to the drone that will deliver it. And this opens up the tools that Robonomics builds, opens up a lot of opportunities for building the economy of the future, I would say.
Great. Thanks,
Yeah,
Vitaly.
yeah, for sure. Let's move on. Your company has created a unique training course also. What is the program and what is technology you use?
Yes, so a few months ago, we came up with the idea to set up a public lab for robotics developers where they could have access to the latest robotics hardware, different types of hardware. That was the idea. Because part of our goal at MerkleBot is to make robotic equipment more accessible. The product that we build is SmartLease that makes it more accessible to companies. But we also wanted to make robots more accessible to people like you and me. So the robot that we decided to start with was Boston Dynamics Spot, because from all our conversations with robotics developers and generally with people interested in robots, everybody talk about Boston Dynamics, and obviously everybody wants to.
But we have a lot of robot dogs.
Yeah, now we have much more robots dogs. I still think that Boston Dynamics one is the most advanced at this stage, but there's a lot of competition, so Spot shouldn't be stopping.
Yes.
So essentially, we purchased the Boston Dynamics robot and decided to set up a course where developers could get familiar with the Spot SDK, with the process of how to program Spot, and would be able to connect to it either remotely or physically in our lab in Bay Area in California, and just test different things. Because I think what Spot is an amazing platform. The thing is that it's a platform, so it needs applications to be built on it. And for that, they really need a developers community, people who would come up with those solutions that Spot could be doing. Unfortunately, until we did set up the lab, there was no opportunity for developers to have access to the robot or try anything until I think a few months ago, there was not even a simulation of Spot where you can try things out. So our goal was to give developers access to Spot, give them tools to learn the Spot SDK easier, and allow them to run Spot when they need, if they want to build either some software tools for it, or even build hardware, some payloads, some sensors or cameras or something like that, that will extend the capabilities of Spot. for us, that's part of our mission to make robots more accessible to people. And that is why we're doing it.
Great. Maybe we'll show something from your course to.
Yeah, let's show some videos. So the first lesson that we set up is helping developers understand how Spot works in general, how to connect to it, how to make it stand up and do simple movements. And the challenge for the first lesson is to make Spot trace your initial, the first letter of your name, with its face. So we can show the letter A, or for example.
Yes, this is letter A, and this is letter T.
Yeah. So that, already first 15 developers has taken the course, the early version of the course, and have made a few letters. It's really simple. So for the first hour of the lesson, people were able to make Spot stand up, move, and trace the letter of its name. So I invite everybody to join the course, actually, because it's there's not that high level of requirements or technical skills that you need to know to be able to at least pass the first lesson and try something out.
And I think this is this might be one of the questions of our guests in this stream. How difficult, how complex is this platform and the programming language that you need to know, you need to learn to be able to program and to start programming the Spot robot?
Yeah, so I have to say that Boston Dynamics did a really great job of documenting everything that they built, and they have a really great platform. So the SDK is now in Python programming language, and the commands are for example, to connect and to stand up, really, really simple. So I think that even people who are not doing development and even don't know Python would be able to figure out how to send those commands. I think some technical knowledge is preferred, but really it's very simple. You just need to plug a few commands to pass the first lesson and change the few numbers in the code, basically. So as you move forward, like if you obviously want to build something of your own solution, you then would need to know much more. But to get the first experience and to make Spot stand up using programming, it's really simple, and almost everybody can do that.
Sounds great.
Yes, and everybody can try on your course to program robot Spot.
Yeah. We also ran a week-long project-based course recently. We did it with a community called Circuit Launch. That's where the Spot is located. That's where Spot lives right now. And so we invited four experienced robotics engineers from their community and challenged them with building an autonomous search and rescue mission through an obstacle course that we built. We can show the video number 3 of how the obstacle course looks like. Mm-hmm. I have to say that for a week, they were able to build, to move Spot autonomously through a complex set of challenges and go to the course and identify the person there with the camera. So obviously for that, people needed to be quite experienced in programming and in working with robots. But I was pretty impressed on how quickly still, even given the experience, they were able to build actually working and useful solution. That validates our point that developers can build really amazing, cool stuff in really short periods of time, if only. And that is what we are trying to solve on many different levels, including with this program using Boston Dynamics Spot Robot. A quick disclaimer, Boston Dynamics is not doing the course with us. I'm talking to them. They know about the program, and I ask for their feedback, but they are not developing the lessons, and they're not running the lab.
So that means you hit the sweet spot, which and you are actually also the creator of this niche, and it's definitely a great chance to fill up this niche, which will be, I guess, could be quite important for the future.
That's true. I think, and the guys at Boston Dynamics told me that they are asked a lot about access to Spot. Obviously, a lot of people are excited about Spot. Everybody wants to try it out and see what it is about. We saw all those cool videos, but what it is actually does. I'm happy that we now can give access to more people to experiment, try their firsthand how this Spot works, and try it out. We are launching the lessons publicly starting September, and everybody could go to the website called spotsdk.education, fill in the form, and actually rent the Spot and try it out.
Yeah, we will add a link to video description, and
Thank you.
And everybody can can go to the course. Vitaly, could you tell us about the process of studying? People study some language, then rent Spot. How people do this?
Yeah, so first, when we got the Spot, our engineers and also PhD students from Whitmore University has carefully studied Spot SDK. So the first lesson is pretty simple, is to make it stand up and move the body. And then it progresses from there to walking, to doing autonomous missions, to building data management, and managing the data on the Spot. And in general, there are two parts in every lesson. It's theory and practice. So first, you go to the theory part. We give the necessary links to Boston Dynamics documentation, and we also have written our suggestions and comments and proposals that would make it easier to understand. And it's completely free. You can go and check it out and read the theory part. And then once you've done that, you can actually move to the practice parts, where you rent an hour with Spot, and you book your time, and then you connect remotely, or if you're in the Bay Area, you're welcome to come to the lab yourself, and you get the command line of Spot. So basically, there you can write any command to this on the Spot computer itself, and the Spot will be doing the commands. I highly recommend that you don't skip the theory part first, because that you think of the commands that you plan to write. Because I know I've been a student myself, and sometimes people move through theory part too quickly. So in order for you to get the great experience during the practice part, where you actually get your time with Spot, you probably need to at least understand and plan what you're going to do and what do you plan to achieve with Spot.
Vitaly, you mentioned that each student can rent the bot for the practical part of your lessons.
Basically, the course itself is free. We are charging for the time on Spot, either if you want to use it for your lesson or if you just want to rent Spot for your education process and not use our lessons, you can also do that. You can just rent Spot for a day and come to the lab and build your own. We are happy to discuss, to talk to academia as well, to help more students get experience with Spot as well. So if you're a representative in academia, then please send me an email and I'm happy to arrange a course for the whole batch of students, for example, or any other arrangements.
So we are happy to provide you all the contacts, and in cases someone from our audience is interested in the course and the services that Vitaly just explained, please send us an email and we will connect you with Vitaly, and so then you can talk and discuss this in more detail.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for that.
Okay, and Vitaly,
so the Spot itself is a pretty closed system, and you don't really have much access inside of this yellow box. So in order to give commands to it, you need to attach a separate computer on top of it. And it's also developed by Boston Dynamics. It's called Spot Core. And there you can run your own programs. And it's directly connected to Spot walking platform, I would say. And only that computer can actually, or not only that, but that in our case, that computer passes commands to the Spot robot to do operations. And the Spot Core is just a normal computer which runs Ubuntu 18. So anything that you can do in Ubuntu, you can actually do on that computer. And you can run scripts, you can install software on it, and do anything that you can do with an Ubuntu machine. The walking Spot platform itself is pretty closed, and you only can send specific commands to it. And for example, walk 5 meters, but then you don't, as far as we at least know at this period of time, you don't actually control the specific joints. So you cannot control individual joints. You can only tell Spot what to do, and then Spot decides on its own how it's going to walk. So if there is an obstacle, you said it walk 5 meters, but there's an obstacle, then Spot will try to walk around it on its own. So Spot has a character, I would say.
A nice one, or how would you?
So far, I'm happy to tell you that yes, it is a nice character.
Time to time.
It doesn't. Yes.
I see. And
actually, maybe we can show the 4th video. We tried to mess around with Spot a little bit. It was walking autonomously through obstacles to stand in front of it. And so Spot tried to gently go around the person and almost fell, but didn't, which looked really impressive, actually. Yeah. Well, while we are at it, we can actually watch the a final video of how Spot dancing. It's also pretty cool what Spot can do with movements, and it's really simple of building the dance moves. So
it is really,
we're actually thinking of doing a separate lesson for dance.
Yeah, it is really amazing, and what Boston Dynamics did with dancing. It is amazing, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. The way Spot moves so naturally right now, it's hard to believe. But you can actually try it yourself. It's easy to do that. They made it easy to do.
Yeah, you can actually see a lot of comments that are distributed across the World Wide Web, where some people are thinking that these dancing moves are fakes. But actually listening to your explanation of the courses, of the possibilities to train and to teach the robot to perform certain moves. So I strongly believe that this is doable and possible. So maybe you can we can also arrange later on, or in a certain after a while, a battle between the programming experts of Boston Dynamics and the students that would pass your course.
Yeah, I'm happy to. And to everybody who is saying those comments, I'm really I'm inviting them to join the course and see for themselves of how easy they make really complex things work.
Great.
Yes, very nice. And does Boston Dynamics plan to create simulation for Spot, and when, if you know?
So I don't know for sure. I know that quite recently the simulation was developed using robot operating system wrapper for the Spot SDK. So robot operating system, just to maybe a lot of your audience already know that, but it's a de facto standard in robotics development right now for software. And it's a set of tools that make it really easy to make your robot work. Boston Dynamics, they developed their own software, of course, because they could. And also they have the specific challenges that they needed to solve. But other companies has built a ROS wrapper for their software. And you can actually now, just as far as I know, a few months, but I don't know whether that would be available anytime soon. I think ROS is really the tool that a lot of roboticists is already using. So it's great that now you can start doing it, but I would still say that it does not replace the experience of working with a physical robot, because you go through there's Spot SDK and then the ROS wrapper for that SDK, and then like separate simulation within that. So there's what I'm trying to say is that
I think you should mix a simulation, physical robot, and you can.
Yeah, for sure. But what I was trying to say is essentially simulation, I think, could work a little awkwardly or differently from what physical robot is doing right now. So it's not very native at this stage.
I see. And Vitaly, could you provide some bonus for our viewers, maybe audience?
Yeah, I'm actually happy to. So I was thinking about it. I want your audience to pass the course. So let's say we get 15 people who write the comments under your video. What is it? Let's do 20. Let's do 20 people.
Okay, let's 20.
Yeah, let's do 20 people. And
I was surprised.
they want to take this course. And we'll pick the 20 that would have the best explanation on our opinion. We'll pick them together and we'll invite them to take the course. Because we want the most people who are the most interested. And we're happy to give them access.
For sure. And please write comments right now, I think.
Yeah. We'll also look at how fast you did that. So start writing comments.
Great.
And additionally to this brief description why you actually would like to take the courses, feel free to ask Vitaly and ask additional questions from your end. We are happy to take them in our stream. So looking forward to receive a lot of interesting questions also from the audience.
Great.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Vitaly, and let's go back to the blockchain for robots. What is the idea behind the connection of blockchain principles and robots?
So let me start with why I'm interested in that. So as I mentioned, I did my degree in economics. And I was following the developments in Bitcoin early on and around blockchains when Ethereum appeared. And when you're thinking about how the technology in IoT and robotics in general is evolving, robots are becoming more connected. They can do much more things, and now they're becoming a part of our economy. They're actually delivering services directly to people, or do it in a way that maybe consumers don't notice yet. But already robots are among us, and in order for them to be more efficient, they need to be able to organize the work that they're doing. Like when you are a human employee, you sign a contract with your employer, or you sign contracts with your suppliers, and you organize your work using contracts. So when Ethereum blockchain started, it gave a unique opportunity to have contracts for robots, because it's a technical tool that is native for robots, that can have both technical side of the work that the robot would be doing and the economic side, so how much the robot would be paid for that work. And the difference to the way you can organize it using non-blockchain tools is that when you're using non-blockchain tools, you pay for the service separately through the bank, and then you launch the code to actually so that the robot does something. And sometimes there is a gap between the two, where you get the payment, but something worked wrong with this technical part, or the robot does things, but the payment was not gone. So smart contracts allow to avoid that. Smart contract is an instrument that allows a robot to accept payment and launch the mission through the single instrument. And I think when you're thinking broader about the trends that robots are becoming connected, it's important to bring together the digital world of payments and the physical world of robots, and being able to organize the work of robots autonomously. So I believe that this, in my opinion, this is the most important thing. But the second thing that we also need to think about is more obscure, but also really important. You probably all have watched Terminator, right? So think of the way that robots are organized right now. When we're connecting robots, oftentimes they're connected to some cloud service. And how is that different from Skynet, from Terminator, that controls all the robots? When you think about that, that's a huge security flaw in when you're building those systems, and it could really lead to doomsday scenario like Terminator, or it could be some smaller issue where just your line would stop working in a factory and you're losing millions of dollars. Yes, like humanity won't die, but it's still very unpleasant. So using decentralized systems allows to avoid a single point of failure where every robot is its own entity. And if something goes wrong with one robot, the whole network of robots doesn't go down. So it's more stable way to organize the economy of robots, in my opinion.
Okay, interesting. But if you talk about this communication part, so how the robots communicating with each other? So how they transfer money and need only, actually the service from people. How is this managed?
So we think of a robot as a separate entity or like separate agent in the economy. I usually give the comparison to legal entities like companies. So a company is a piece of paper essentially. It's but it can have a bank account. They need to have their own wallet to store the money, and they need to be able to create contracts so that they can organize their work. And the tools that we are working on are allowing just that, exactly. The robot has an identity, so you can talk to it. It has a wallet, so it can accept payment or pay for things. And it can create contracts, so you can actually arrange of what robots need to do, and they would deliver it. The technology is actually already here. It's in early stages, but it's already working in production even. But we'll have to go through a lot of work still, and a lot of work have to be done in order for these technologies to be implemented in all the robots, because robotics technology is quite new. And the technologies that are under the umbrella term of blockchain are also really new. But I think they're critical if we want to imagine a world where like you need some product, you can just order a custom product. The autonomous factory would build it, and then the autonomous truck will deliver it. And then maybe if you're in a more remote area, like a drone, after that will deliver it to your door. I think the necessary piece of it is to think about the economic tools of how it's going to be organized, because most attention goes to of how the drones would fly and Boston Dynamics robots would walk, but how they will actually deliver services. What will be the business process behind that? And I think that smart contracts and blockchains would allow us to organize the economy that we're building towards.
I think another quite interesting question would be why should robots transfer money between each other? Since the economy is something that was created and actually developed by the humans, I think behind the robots and behind the wallets of the robots, there will be humans, not robots, because robots would not need or there will be no use for the robots to have this money, even if this is a cryptocurrency or whatever. So maybe you can also touch this point and so pick up this point and explain your view on this on this question. Why should robots transfer money, and what is the benefit for the economy in which we are actually using as humans? What is the benefit for us?
So I will go back to my comparison with companies and legal entities. So, of course, humans are behind all companies. Yet, a company has a bank account separately on its own for organizing the work that the company is doing. So I think that, for example, so imagine a specific use case. I want to order a bread chair like that with specific characteristics, and I want to make it custom. Imagine a factory that can build any custom things, which works only with robots. So I made an order to that factory. Then the robot that's there would need to order specific parts to build the chair that I want. We want for that to happen autonomously, because we don't want a human to be approving every time that's happening. It's not happening already in the factories. Robots are doing a lot of different things autonomously from technical point of view. But the limitation is that it cannot make a decision to order parts. And I think by automating that, we can actually speed up the process. We can make it more efficient. We can grow the economy even. That robot also can pass the information to the next robot. So, for example, it builds like a base of the chair, but then it added some value towards the product, but the product is not final. So it passes that partial value to the next robot that adds some value on top of it. And then maybe it's even different factories that's doing that. How do you keep track of robots passing down the supply chain, the products, where multiple companies are part of that supply chain? And we don't want to approve every step of the way, because that slows down the process. Also introduces an opportunity for an error. So in order for technology point of view, but they're not yet capable of doing the organizational part of things autonomously. Towards your custom needs and being developed. I think that's super cool.
Nice, really nice. And Vitaly, you mentioned also this blockchain communication. So maybe you can also explain for us and also for the audience how and what is the best way to imagine this procedure of.
Word is overhyped, and there are a lot of misconceptions of what blockchain is, and a lot of different technologies going to economically valuable data, like transactions, for example. The technology that usually goes along with blockchains, right? For example, with Ethereum blockchain, is smart contracts that I talked about. That smart contracts allow to write into that database securely the information that, for example, the robot did. And when we're talking about the value, why we're actually doing that is to build autonomous supply chains where robots can manage their information about their transactions securely. That's pretty much it. we don't want to have a situation where the information about your order was wrong, or we don't want to make an error of how some process happening in the factory and everything, the whole line breaks down. So those are systems that would require elevated, it has elevated requirements for security. And blockchain is a way to store information in a secure way and in an immutable way. So, which means that nobody can actually change that data or manipulate that data.
I see. Yeah, interesting. I think this entire topic of creating interfaces between robots and between the different, even between different programming languages or platforms. This is also something that needs to be evaluated. And that's a basic question. If the blockchain idea and principle can solve this interface topic at all.
So for us humans, like the interfaces we used to use at least, like paper money, for example. That's some physical thing that we transfer to each other, or signing paper contracts, or signing. They're moved to digital right now in both money and contracts. But those are interfaces that were initially built for humans, because that's how we interact. Robots interact on the digital level, and essentially what cryptocurrencies are the money for robots, because they're digital straight away. And the way the interaction in the blockchain networks happens through smart contracts is also a native way for robots to interact. So I would say the technologies that are usually under the term blockchain, they're native for robots, because those are the technologies that allow robots to transfer value. And that's where we're using them.
Interesting. Nice. So we have our last question, and then I would suggest we switch to the questions of the audience. But before doing this, Vitaly, how do you envision the future with robots? Let's say in 10 years.
I'm not sure whether I have this vision for 10 years or more, but I have a really grand vision of reaching a post-scarcity economy. That's the term that describes a form of society where all basic needs at least are solved for people. You have access to shelter, to food, to security, to basic products. And that's not something that's basically like unlimited. Like you can get as much as you need and can possibly eat or have. And if we want to build towards that vision, I think autonomous economy of robots is an essential part of that vision, because robots can do things exponentially. Like if you have the robot that builds other robots that builds other robots, that's what allows us to reach the level of complexity in the economy that is required for post-scarcity society. So I don't think we'll be able to reach that in 10 years, but at least I know that in 10 years we are definitely going to be much closer, and the productivity in the economy would increase dramatically, exponentially, with the more robots getting introduced to the economy. In the manufacturing, almost all factories already use robots. And now we see robots like Boston Dynamics Spot and other service robots are already getting into our everyday life. so many people have Roomba or like stopped vacuuming. So like robots really increase the productivity level dramatically and allow humans to do more human things. And that's what I want to achieve with the company and as society in general.
Yeah, Vitaly, we totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I think
thank you. Let's build together.
Absolutely true. That's true, and I think especially with services like your company, MerkleBot, you are actually contributing quite well to this development of the future of robotics in the human future. Of our future. And don't forget, you can change your future. And this is actually the logo of ProRobots, and this is absolutely true.
Yes, and it is about Vitaly too, of course. Great, and we have some questions from our viewers. And first question: does Spot run G code, Vitaly?
I'm not sure what G code is actually, to be completely honest with you.
I'm too. I thought you know, but maybe.
But essentially,
can explain what does it mean.
But essentially, Spot has an Ubuntu machine connected, so Linux Ubuntu machine on that can run anything. So with high likelihood, I think it can also run G code, whatever it is.
Okay.
We have also some other questions from Patrick Starr, who is asking, could someone buy an industrial robot, and would it then be able to lease it using the using the coin and blockchain? Not sure if you get the question and get the point, Vitaly, but please take this question.
So what we are doing at MerkleBot is just that. We are leasing robots to industrial robots, mostly to factories, and we organize the work that the robot does, and we store the information behind that, and we also process the payment using blockchain behind that. We are mostly working with the traditional companies, so we are obviously accepting payments in US dollars at the moment. But if there is an interest of people who wants to pay for the robot work in tokens, we are happy to discuss that as well. So for us, the reason we're using it is we are increasing level of security of our accounting system. And we also, just as I explained, we're using smart contracts to track what the robot does.
And I think this question was about Robonomic. Do you use Robonomic for this?
We do. We do Robonomics in everything that we built. So Robonomics for us is essentially like a decentralized cloud provider with a lot of different tools that we need for financing of robots. So for us, it's an invaluable platform, specifically for what we are doing. And for everybody that have ideas of what to build robots to the factory. So if you're interested in leasing the robot and paying as a service, please contact me, go to the website, and I'm happy to help.
Okay, and Patrick Starr has a lot of questions. And next question, is there a coin behind the project, or is it blockchain without coin?
So Robonomics has a coin. Its ticker is XRT, and XRT is a token that allows you to make transactions in the Robonomics network. So for example, we use Robonomics when we would need to record some transactions from the robots that we use. We pay for that XRT. Think of it as roughly, it's not like that precisely, but it's like API, paying for API calls. So when you're using AWS, you're paying for specific API calls, for example. So we are using the token to pay for the calls that we're doing to Robonomics.
I see. And next question is human thinking AI and question mark. I think I can develop this question. And Vitaly, what do you think? When will human thinking AI develop? Will be developed?
That's an interesting question and pretty broad one. We can sit all day talking about that. I think that if the question is about a general AI,
yes, generally.
then I don't have specific predictions, but it probably will take longer than some people expect. And especially sometimes when we read the news in the media about different machine learning tools that already exist, and they really look indistinguishable from like general purpose AI. Like our assistants in the phones, they can talk to us. They almost kind of have feelings, we think, but they not really. Sometimes we just attach more to them than they actually are. So I think it will take it will take decades to get to that point where AI has reached that level. At this point, we have a special purpose machine learning algorithm that can do amazing stuff, but we're not yet there where computers have consciousness. But hopefully soon enough. I'm really waiting for that.
Many experts agree that it will happen in 2050. What do you think?
Yeah, it seems like a pretty long time to it seems like a pretty long time to stay, because in 2050 I will be old and I won't have to remember the words I said 30 years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, like maybe in 2050.
Now we can say 2050.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And the next statement was mount up a machine gun and few grenade launcher and will be good. What do you think that people would like to set up some guns or create some war machines?
That's a very good question, because Boston Dynamics specifically told us many times that we are not allowed to even think about any use case which will involve guns. And even more so, there was some other team that tried to do paintball guns on spot. And I think they got into a lot of trouble for doing that, because as far as I understand it, the Boston Dynamics goal is to build a platform that will help people. And they definitely don't want you to be attaching guns to it, and they would do everything so you don't do that. So they have the capability about that. Roboticists are big fans usually of science fiction, and they've read a lot of different stories, and they're very careful in what and how their tools are being built. So I'm pretty hopeful that people who are building these technologies would be smart enough to avoid a scenario where we attach grenades and grenade launchers to our robots.
Totally agree.
So such a question is quite important because, or actually, my question would be as an additional part with your coding skills, with the let's say with advanced coding skills of the Spot robot. Would it be able to switch off some security elements of the robot and let the robot, for instance, break some things or damage, put some damage on things or humans, etc., etc.? So would it be possible, or is the core of this robot, of the Spot robot, is safe enough to avoid such worst case scenarios?
And with any computer security, there's never 100% guarantee. Unfortunately, when we were starting out working 6 years ago, we started with drones. And then I've read some news article that drones started to be used in war zones and dropping mines and something like bombs. So like robots are tools, and only people decide how to use them, and people can decide different ways. So I hope that people who are developing really you should, and you need to understand that. With great power comes great responsibility, I guess.
I see. Okay. So we have some more questions from the audience, and so for instance, Rob Shuttleworth is also asking: is the number of transactions per second relevant? I guess Rob is referring to the transactions of the robonomics transactions. So would you be able to explain to us this point, Vitaly?
Yeah, so to confirm, the question is about the number of transactions per second that robonomics can achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is what we would understand. Rob, feel free to to precise your question if you meant something else. But let's take this question in that way. Yeah.
So first, an important point that I have to say is when you think about transactions, think about of how often do we humans make transactions. So you don't do a payment every even every hour.
Every second, yeah.
Yeah, and when we're working with robots, for example, when we need to do a lease, the transaction in our use case is once a month, like when we make a lease payment, actually. So given that, right now, Robonomics was, until about a year ago, was working on Ethereum blockchain, and Ethereum blockchain is pretty limited in the amount of transactions. But even with those capabilities, it was enough for us for the use cases that we were having, because we don't really need to send a transaction every, like we only send transactions every month for every robot. Maybe we can increase it to weekly but we don't really need more. The good news is that Robonomics, starting a few years ago, have started to work with another blockchain, which is called Polkadot. And there, the amount of transactions per second would be increased dramatically. So with the new technology and new tools that Robonomics is giving us, we would be able to create transactions in seconds. We don't even have the need for that yet. And even as we scale to more robots, even then we won't be able to achieve that in our use cases. And Robonomics is already allowing that. I think that as the market matures and as Robonomics evolves, this would only increase. And so far we haven't faced the wall, and so far it was enough for us. Robonomics is already bringing new tools that gives us even more. So I think that when you're thinking that what you need to be using transactions for, you won't face the wall and the ceiling and the limit of number of transactions.
Okay, I see. So
okay, I think we have time for several questions, 1 or 2, and we need, I think, to finish our first stream. Amazing first stream.
Thank you. Thank you for organizing the stream. I have to say that, yes, it was amazing. I am happy to talk to your audience and to you guys and discuss the different interesting topics, specifically what we are doing, and also more broadly of how economy is going to work in the future and how robots will evolve.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions, and thank you, Vitaly, because it was very interesting for us, and I knew a lot of new information. Okay, and
absolutely true.
Yeah, I think last question. Vitaly, do you have Instagram, and what is your account or profile?
Yeah, so I do have Instagram. My nickname is VITL2907. So it's Vital2907. VITL2907. And you can find me using this nickname in all social media, like on Instagram, on Facebook, on Telegram, on everywhere they will find this nickname, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Please connect. This nickname is everywhere.
Great, and you have direct contact of Vitaly, and you can ask any question you have. Thank you, Vitaly, and all you guys who listening for us. I hope you like our stream. Please like it and leave comments if you have. See you next time.
Thank
Bye,
you.
and thanks, Vitaly.